Welcome back to the Nancy Levin Show. I am thrilled today to be joined by my guest, Ramona J. Smith. And Ramona is more than just a speaker. She's actually quite a global phenomenon, redefining the art of communication. Ramona is the 2018 Toastmasters International World Champion of Public Speaking. And since earning that title, she's set stages ablaze across 5 continents, from Dubai to Brazil, Sri Lanka to Saudi Arabia, and everywhere in between. But Ramona's journey to the top wasn't just about trophies, it was about tenacity. As the second African-American woman and only the 5th woman ever to win the world championship, she turned personal adversity into powerful storytelling and became a trailblazer for women, for Black voices, and for authenticity in action. With a background in public relations and marketing, Ramona, more than a dynamic speaker, she is also a coach, an educator, and a passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Whether she's delivering a keynote, leading a corporate training, or mentoring the next generation of speakers, she shows us what's possible when purpose meets preparation. Get ready for a conversation packed with presence, power, and a whole lot of punch, because Ramona J. Smith is here to remind us all what it means to speak like a champion. Hi, Ramona.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for that.
You are welcome. I told you, you are very impressive, and I want to celebrate how impressive I find you. And I want to share with the listeners how our conversation right now came about. Because a couple of weeks ago, I actually received a Google alert that I receive when my name is mentioned somewhere. And it led me to an article in Shout Out LA, where you were interviewed and you were talking about the impact that my book Worthy had on you. And I read the article, I posted it on my Instagram story and tagged you. And then the next thing I knew, you were coming into my DMs saying, wow, I am so excited to share this message of worthiness with women. How would you feel about me coming on your podcast for us to have a conversation about it? And I said yes. And I loved the boldness with which you asked. And I love how you are really walking representation of why this particular book resonates with so many and so many women. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. I am so ready to share my experiences. I have my notebook that I had when I was reading the book with my questions and my answers. And this is a great opportunity. And we're just mirrors of one another. We're mirrors of boldness. We're mirrors of women who know now our true worth, and that we want to share this confidence with others, other women specifically, men too. Hello, we love you guys.
Yes.
But most men don't have a problem saying, "Hey, this is what my price is. This is what you're going to pay me," and they're fine with it. But us women, it's like, "Oh, I don't know. I want to give it away," and it's like, no more.
No more. So let's talk about this. So, in the article, you mentioned that reading my book Worthy was a life-changing experience for you. I would really love to hear about how this book influenced your perception of self-worth and how it has impacted your career, how it did support you in charging your worth and value. Yeah, go for it.
As you mentioned, in 2018, World Champion of Public Speaking. I didn't really know what that meant. Of course, the title is World Champion of Public Speaking, but your whole life changes once you get a title that huge. And I was a school teacher at the time. You go from teaching high school students, I was making $52,500 a year, because that's the most money I had ever made in my life. And now you have this international platform where you're traveling all over and people want to hear you speak and you're in demand. in, and there was no blueprint. There was no manual that somebody handed me that said, okay, now that you're a world champion, here you go. You need to do all the things. And I kind of was just floating around trying to figure it out. And by me only being the fifth woman to ever win, the last woman who had won was 10 years prior to me winning, and she was deceased. LaShonda Rundles, she won in 2008 and she passed away in 2012. I didn't have any other women to talk to about it really because it was all men, and men just speak a different language. So the men were talking, they were giving me all this business acumen and this business jargon. You got to have a unique value proposition, and you got to have a sales pitch, and you got to, what? I'm a school teacher. I know how to do lesson plans. Can you, can you convert it into the teaching language? And I was just so, as most women get, I'm just so appreciative of this award, and I just want to go share it with the world. And I traveled to about 12 countries in less than 2 years. I only sold my products in one country, and in Bahrain, and I sold out. I sold out of everything that I had, but that was the only country that I had sold in. Fast forward, I'm still speaking, but I'm not progressing in my business. I'm not making enough money to pour back into my business. I'm not making enough money to scale my business, and I just got sick of it.
Yeah,
I got sick of it. And I had went on a cruise with my partner. We call him the bearded one. His name is Trevante Campbell. And we went on a cruise. And it was just something about that cruise that let me relax and get my thoughts together and get away from it all, just being on the sea and in Jamaica and Grand Cayman. And I came back fully refreshed. And I sat back and said, I need to figure out what's wrong. And I decided to reach out to the 1999 world champion, Craig Valentine. And I said, Craig, what are you doing that I'm not doing? I'm charging this amount of money for my keynotes. I know I'm a great speaker. I'm taking business courses. I'm doing the executive MBA. I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm still doing something wrong. There's still something missing. And he said, well, what you're charging now, I was charging in 1999. I was 24. And what? My mind was blown. And he was like, that sounds like an issue of worthiness. You need to read this book called Worthy by Nancy Levin. Read it now. I immediately got the book. And when I tell you I couldn't put it down, it was glued to me. It was like a child. It was, it was like a newborn. You are not going anywhere until I answer all these questions and do all these exercises. You allowed me to dig so much deeper into all the issues that I didn't even know that I had, and get below the surface and get to the, as my godfather would say, get to the root, get to the root, get to the root of the issue of why I am holding myself back. And it was because I had a poverty consciousness, negative beliefs, and I felt like I was not enough.
So that paints quite a picture of the before, if you will. So I'm curious for you, what has changed? What has become possible for you on the other side of knowing and owning your worth and really implementing what is the core message of that book and of all my teachings around worthiness is that the self-worth connection with net worth. And I'm curious, share with me.
Yes, because we always talk about self-care and you need to do the inner work. And it's like, okay, I can write affirmations 1 billion times. I can do meditations, and those things are great. But where is the implementation? Where is the implementation? After you do all the I am wealthy, I am rich, and you're journaling about your future and you're doing all those activities that people recommend for you to build your self-worth. It's like, okay, I feel good about myself, but I'm still broke. And so really diving deep into these patterns and these habits that go back into my childhood, doing these activities helped me switch it off. It's over. I don't need to blame my parents. I don't need to blame my teenage self. I don't need to blame anyone. It's my choice right now to choose to move forward. And that takes courage, because if I'm charging someone $100 an hour and then I switch it up to $500 an hour, boom, 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 boom. Are they going to say yes? Am I desperate for this sale? What if I don't get it? You get all those negative thoughts. And I said, well, here's a crossroad. Do you want to stay here or do you want to move forward? Do you want to be speaking and have this great title, but you don't have the lifestyle to match? Or do you want to have everything in alignment? And I changed all my prices. I changed all my prices and I said, hey, somebody's going to pay it somewhere because they're paying other people these prices. And so I started to change my prices. And then one person bought. And I said, oh, well, if he bought at this price, maybe he'll buy at this price. And I continue to slowly increase, and I'm still increasing, but slowly increase my prices and my rates. And when people started to pay for it, I started to get angry with myself a little bit, like I should have done this way sooner, because people will pay when you have the value that matches the price. And another thing my partner said was, if people keep telling you it's a deal instead of an investment, that's an issue. You are the world champion of public speaking. You have spoken all over this globe. You have got the experience. You've been doing this for 15 years now. You're cheating yourself if you keep charging these prices. So the change for me was, of course, an increase in revenue and being able to pour back into my business, but also this reassurance that if I continue to give good quality service, I can charge a price that matches that and people will pay. As long as I'm not trying to be ridiculous, I'm not charging $10,000 an hour. I'm not charging $100,000 yet for a keynote, but yet, exactly, keyword yet. But if the price is good, the reputation is good, the quality is good, and you have a price that is fair and it matches, they will pay. But I think a lot of women worry about they're not going to pay me, they're not going to give it to me, or we act out of desperation. I just need to sell, and we just take whatever is given. So the book helped me realize that somebody's going to pay. They will.
Yeah. I love everything you're sharing. I mean, I feel so lit up in this conversation. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about your own process for being able to first acknowledge your own worth and value inherently, which then transferred into being able to name your price that matched your worth and value. Because we know that if we are trying to prove and earn our sense of worth through what we do, achieve, produce, if we are looking for that externally, we're still going to feel the emptiness. So I'd love to hear about your own internal process with the book, without the book, however it came about for you.
That was a long road for me because as a kid, I didn't have high self-esteem. I didn't have high self-value, high self-worth. All throughout the majority of my adolescence, I always felt like I wasn't pretty enough or I wasn't smart enough. And that doesn't make any sense because I was always getting good grades and I was always a cute kid. And I don't know what the psychological term is or the diagnosis, but I think I was living in the shadow of my big sister. And I always compared myself to her. And she was just a little bit older, but I always compared myself to her. And if I wasn't doing the things that she was doing, I felt like I wasn't good enough. Now, that's no fault of hers or no fault of anybody else's. That's a journey that I had to go on for myself. And it really wasn't until I was introduced to the teachings of Wayne Dyer that I started to say, oh, wow, it's bigger than me. It's not about what I have, because at the time I didn't have any degrees. I don't even think I had a car. I didn't have a good job. It wasn't until I was introduced to this concept that it's bigger than me. It's not about the ego. It's about me being a good person. It's about who I am on the inside, and kind of starting to get to know myself through his teachings, through the teachings of Wayne Dyer. And then I started to believe in myself and just do one bold thing at a time. The first big bold thing I did was moving to Los Angeles. This is my second bout in Los Angeles. I'm ready this time. But the first time I was like 23, I didn't have anything, sold everything, bought a one-way ticket to LA. But that boosted my self-confidence because it's like, if I can do this on my own, by myself, I'm going to try it. It's like, what can't I do? And that's when I wrote my first book called Shine, Sister Shine. And I was just inspired by everything, but I wasn't quite ready. And then what really stamped everything for me was motherhood. And the universe trusting me to guide another human through life. That you can't tell me that I'm not anything, or you can't tell me that I'm not good enough, because I've been chosen to be someone's mom, and then nursing a kid for 13 months. And the things that I went through with my son, I won't share them here, but the things that I went through with my son when he was a kid and overcoming all of that, motherhood solidified it for me. So after I became a mom and I'm nurturing this little person, I went back to college after dropping out 4 times, and I finally finished, got 2 degrees, magna cum laude, and I moved to Houston and became a school teacher, and everything was great. It was still just the money piece that was missing. That was the only piece that was missing, because I never associated that part of me with self-worth. It was always, do you feel good about yourself? Do you believe in yourself? Do you think you're pretty? Do you feel like you're amazing? Yes. It was never, how much money do you want to make? Name your price. Like you said, what is it that you want to achieve? What are these goals? I would always write, I am a millionaire, but it was like, okay, if your max is $53,000, how are you going to get to millionaire status? How? And so your book kind of unlocked that secret door for me. Your book said, okay, you maxed out at 53,000. If you want to get to $1 million, here's the work you got to do.
I just appreciate you sharing this so much, because you sharing it this way really makes it accessible to anyone listening, to know that once you get your beliefs, your commitments, your actions, your choices, all in alignment with your desire, that's how you're going to make things happen. And so many of us feel trapped, stuck, sabotaged by the beliefs we're holding from the past. And the only reason that they're in place is that we still believe them. And, you bring up the point of affirmations. And of course, given my long history with Hay House and with Louise Hay and with Wayne, I certainly notice that, like, I get controversial about affirmations, because yes, it's all lovely to be, I am a millionaire in the mirror or in your journal, but what is the action you're going to take? Pray while walking, So this is why I get stuck personally around the way that most people talk about manifesting, because we have to make the first move. We have to take the action in order for the universe to meet us in that action and to compound that action forward.
Absolutely. For sure. I'm reading some of the negative beliefs that I had that I wrote down, exercises from the book. And some negative beliefs that I used to have was, I'll never be rich because I don't know how to make tons of money. If I charge too much, no one will buy my services. I will always have more bills than money. Money comes and goes. If I hold on to it, I won't make room for more. I'm somehow incapable of not having enough money to live an abundant life. And when you tell yourself those things over and over and over, they become your truths. And that's why we get stuck and stagnant. The women that I coach, they all have the same problem. They have the skills, they have the education, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, but they don't have the courage to charge what they are worth because of some of those similar beliefs. If I charge too much, people are going to think I'm evil, or I'm mean, or I'm money hungry, or I'm greedy, or I'm just trying to get over. And it's like, no, that's not the truth. Because I only work with women who have good things and great things. And I don't work with women who scheme or scam or trying to get rich quick. These women have gifts and talents that are phenomenal. And you're charging $25 for a 6-hour workshop where you're going to change people's lives and you're a certified therapist. No. But I have to fight with them. No, I don't want to raise my price. Okay. Well, then you're going to be where you are forever. So these negative beliefs, man, they hold us back for sure.
Tell me about this transformation for you. How long did it take for you to feel the courage, the confidence to become in the world the way you are now, even in terms of the way that you talked about charging? How long did it take?
So specifically with charging, after I read your book, it was immediate.
I love it.
It was immediate because, but I see how I had gotten to that place where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And until you get there, you're not going to take any action. You're going to keep making excuses. Well, next month or next year, or when I get my third PhD and when I write my 18th book, that's when I'm going to do it. And it's like, I was tired. I have a son who'll be in college in 5 years. I don't want to be worried about how I'm going to take care of this and take care of that. I don't want to have to worry about all the things that I've worried about for years. Why do I have to? Life, we always use the word abundant. Abundant means exceedingly abundantly above all you could ask or think. Abundance is never not having enough. The opposite of lack is abundance. There is too much money in the world. And I'm not saying I want all of it, and I don't need all of it. I don't need to make $1 million a year. If I can have a 5-figure month for the rest of my life, I'd be fine. But until you get to that point where you are like, no more, I don't care what I have to do, I'm never going backwards, you're not going to change. So when I got your book, it's just perfect timing. It's just divine timing. After I read it and I did all the things, I didn't just read it, ladies, and go through it and just say, I didn't just read it to read it. I read it to actually be intentional and do the work. And I did the work. You can't see it, but I have my notebook here to prove it. I did the work and I knew that it was time. It was ready for it. So as soon as I finished your book, I told my partner, let's go and do these numbers and look at what's what. And everything changes now. So for me, it was immediate.
Oh, I mean, it's really humbling. It's really gratifying to hear your experience because, of course, I write a book, I put it into the world, and of course, I want to know that it is impactful. And so the fact that it has impacted you in this way is so meaningful and so satisfying and so fulfilling for me. So thank you for sharing that.
For sure. And I shared it with everybody. I shared it with my mom and my clients and my best friends and everybody needs to read this book. And even if you don't take immediate action like I did, the seed is still planted. So thank you, because so many people have books inside of them and they will go to the cemetery. So thank you for sharing this experience with us. Thank you for putting the time and the effort and the work into it. And thank you for the experiences that you may not want to share or haven't shared to lead you to get to this point. So I am so grateful for you. And life-changing is an understatement, because I will be able to live the life I want because you clicked something for me with this gift that you gave me. So thank you.
I appreciate you so much. I have loved learning more about you after I discovered the article and after you reached out to me. And you really are a trailblazer in your field. You are trailblazing for women, for African American women. You are a beautiful orator and storyteller. And in the same way, you are using your own adversity that you've overcome to illuminate what's possible for others. And I feel excited to be able to celebrate you in that.
Thank you. This is amazing. I know that there are some people who are going to be like, phooey, she's a professional speaker, she's just talking. But I am not just here to be here. I'm really here because a lot of the women that I work with, they're going to need to hear this conversation, because when people can give you 50 book recommendations and it's like, okay, I'm added to my book list, but this one right here, is a game changer. It's more than a must read. If you are truly a woman who feels like you deserve more, or you want to scale and you're ready to scale, you've had a business, you've been treating your business like a hobby, and you really want to turn that passion into purpose, into a fatter purse, that is not a sin. Why do we feel like making money is a sin? It's an exchange. The time, the energy, the expertise, the effort, the years, the grit, the tears, all this energy that you put into whatever gift that you have to give it, the exchange is somebody giving you some money for it. Well, lots of money for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And Worthy is going to help you overcome those negative beliefs, overcome those shadow beliefs, and really get to the place where you want to be as a business woman, not just a kind woman with a good heart, but a business woman who is looking to increase that bottom line.
And I mean, thank you for that. That is everything right there. And everything you shared to me is very much in alignment with what I share in my coach training and certification program with my coaches who I'm training around. You have to be a businesswoman first, a business person before you're even a coach. Mm-hmm. And let's look at what needs to be in place in order for you to hang your shingle and to shout out to the world and to be visible. And I talk about visibility as not only letting others see us, but actually turning the spotlight on ourselves, really drawing attention to ourselves. And that right there is the worthiness connection. And to me, I see it whether I'm coaching or speaking. And I know you mentor and coach speakers. And to really stand in the spotlight, to use their voice. And I'm curious for you to share a little bit about how you see that worthiness connection and the owning of the voice, the reclaiming of the voice, and standing center stage.
That is a challenging one. And I don't know what makes it so challenging. I don't know if it's social media, or if because there are only a small amount of monumental speakers like the Tony Robbins, the Les Browns, the Lisa Nichols, there's just maybe a small amount. Everybody feels like they're not good enough. I just can't speak like you. Nobody wants you to speak like me. They try to compare their style to the styles of other people, or they feel like what they're saying, it's just not powerful. Why do we feel like getting on stage has to be some Broadway Hollywood show? It does not have to be that way. You tell your story the way you tell your story. When I work with people, I don't try to change their speaking style. Mm-hmm. If you have a bunch of filler words, of course, nobody wants to hear a bunch of ums and ahs and you knows and so's. If you're a swearer, nobody wants to hear all of that profanity. I talk fast, and I know I'm excited, so I'm talking fast on this podcast. So I'm going to try to slow down for the remainder of our time together. But I speak fast when I get excited. But if you're speaking too fast, I'll encourage you to slow down. If you're speaking too slow, I'll encourage you to speed it up a little bit. But I'm not going to say you need to sound just like Ramona J. Smith in order for you to get on that stage. I do more confidence coaching than actual public speaking coaching. I am selling confidence. I'm not selling public speaking coaching.
Right.
Just need to know that they're good enough. And my formula for confidence is simple. It's preparation plus knowledge. A lot of people don't prepare before they get on that stage. And that's the difference between a public speaker and a professional speaker. A public speaker is someone who can speak anywhere, about anything, to anyone. A professional speaker is going to craft that message for the audience, practice, research, practice some more, and then get on that stage and make it look easy. So it is the confidence piece of people feeling like their message is not good enough, their words have no impact, and they're not a good speaker, quote unquote. So I try to speak into that person and give them reminders of the things that you've already done. We often forget about all the things that we've done to get us to where we are. Why do you need another project management certification? You have 16 of them. How how much external validation do you need before you take some of that, put it on the inside of you and recycle it through who you already are and then bring out something even better? It's not about the outside things. It's about getting comfortable with who you are, understanding who you are, and respecting and valuing yourself, because you are undervaluing and disrespecting yourself if you are selling a product that is worth $20,000 and you're giving it away for $200. You don't love yourself if you do that.
Ramona, I just love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing everything you have here. Please let the listeners know where they can find you, follow you. Where's the best place to send them?
You can email me. I speak at RamonaJSmith.com. I'm always on Instagram at RamonaJSmith1. And you can text me if you want to have a conversation. That is 216-309-2341. Or you can catch me in a corner in LA at a coffee shop, snuggled up with my Nancy Levin book, Worthy.
Ramona, you are a delight. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. And for everyone listening, I'll be back with you again next week.